At a scrap recycling yard in Tongrenpu, I came across a massive motorcycle. It looked rough, but it had 4 exhaust pipes, and surprisingly, the engine turned out to be a Honda Inline 4. The paint was completely worn, through the rear was damaged, and parts were missing. But what caught my eye was the cockpit with 3 gauges and a tachometer that goes all the way to 16,000 RPM, plus a factory-painted fairing. That told me this bike was definitely something special. The owner sold it to me by weight at 11.5 yuan per kilo, and there were still 242 jin left, so I bought the whole pile and brought it back. The front wheel was badly bent, the frame had been cut, the mirrors were half ground off, the fuel tank was gone, and the wiring and side stand were cut away. But interestingly, the engine showed no signs of ever being opened or repaired. Put on some move again. The front wheel is completely wrecked, and judging by the damage on the exhaust, it looks like the bike went down hard and then slid a long way. No idea how the rider ended up. The rear subframe and wiring were brutally cut off by someone with a torch, so I stripped away all the damaged parts. Now everything depends on the engine. If the internals behind that shattered side cover are still intact, then we've got a real chance to bring this bike back. Take a guess. The cracked side cover actually hid some good news. Everything inside is in great shape. The coils aren't damaged, and even the main clutch components are still intact. Looks like we got seriously lucky this time. I kept going and removed the carburetors at first glance. They look fairly clean, but there is aluminum corrosion around the edges. I will deal with that later. For now, I hooked up an external power source to see if I can get it moving again. The engine broken part alone cost me over 400, and that's not even including shipping. You wouldn't believe how expensive used parts are for these old machines. With this cover installed, the engine can basically be considered complete. Next, we can start straightening out the wiring. This section here was burned by fire and has already turned sticky, and the wires in the back are basically useless as well. After that, I directly bought a used ignition unit. Just this small broken thing cost me 320. Since this bike no longer has any original connectors, I had no choice but to hardwire everything. But honestly, for me, this bike's electrical system is just basic stuff. That's so we can move on and start fixing the next part. After sending off the young lady who came to help, I continued working on the carburetor. I opened up its body, and surprisingly, the inside was still pretty clean, especially considering this bike is a 1987 model. I disassembled the carburetor completely and cleaned every single part thoroughly. Once that was done, I tossed all the components into an ultrasonic cleaner for 3 hours. After pulling them out, everything, inside and out, was spotless. I then reassembled the carburetor piece by piece. Finally, by tossing this single carburetor setup into position, it transformed into a 4-carburetor assembly, creating a fully linked system that now satisfies all the fuel flow requirements for proper testing. Now the bike is finally It has fuel and electricity, and first, I suspected it had no compression, so I removed the spark plugs and measured the compression twice. Both times it read 6.5, which is plenty. Then I checked the spark plugs themselves, and sure enough, there was no spark at all. The problem was in the electrical system. I traced the wiring from the back to the front. I've worked on a bike like this before. It's also a 1987 model, and with only a few ignition wires, it's not difficult for me. I concluded that the fault was very likely in the ignition coil. Luckily, we had the same model on hand at home. I pulled the ignition unit off that bike and swapped it over to try it out. Now we can confirm. Now it's leaking oil again. Is everything clear now? Or is there still an issue? I tidied it up, but it started leaking again. I replaced the gasket, added over $200 worth of repairs, changed the oil, and I believe it should be fine now. Looking at the bike's wiring, everything seems fine. The car and I move as one. This connection is not just about handling it, it is something deeper. Take this filter for example. The car resisted, but I know a bit of the tricks I carefully removed. All these troublesome wires added yellow insulating paper and fitted a red wallpaper knife, letting it rest for a while. Next, we focused on the rusty frame and stubborn oil stains using dry ice. 6 yuan per kilo. And I bought 20 kilos in total. Every step was done to ensure the wiring will not short again. After all that, we even started the car to double check. The engine is running smoothly and everything is functioning just as it should. After cleaning the frame with dry ice, it is sparkling clean and should have removed years of grime. I also tracked down all the damaged parts for this car. Although they are all used parts, I added some yellow paper to the wiring and straightened everything out carefully. On top of that, I went all the way to Town in the south and managed to get a full set of body panels for a 1987 Honda CBR250R, the famous Flower Tiger. The price really hurt, but I gritted my teeth and got it. Now everything is ready and we can finally start putting the car back together. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest videos. Including this red panel which I picked up at the scrapyard for 11.5 yuan per kilo. The 1987 Honda CBR250 is now fully restored. Its side profile looks amazing, and it can now start perfectly without any issues. You might be too young to remember the era of water-cooled bikes. I can hardly describe it, but for me, nearly 40 years old, riding this old Honda feels amazing. The 1980s, Hondas really had technical skill built in, and the overall ride this time feels